GeekWaresASMR. If you're new here, I'm Shannon, and I would like to encourage you to comment down below and like this video. It really does help my channel beat this crazy YouTube algorithm. And we are so close to getting 6,000 subscribers. I just appreciate each and every one of you for sticking with me in what appears to be a pretty tumultuous time in my life. But anyway, I do have a Patreon if you're looking for more content from me. With everything going on, I sadly have been slacking a little over there, and so I know it's not the best endorsement, but you can join us for as low as $2 a month, and that's where you'll find a lot of my extra content, rambles, video gameplay, not so much true crime. I try to do true crime once every other week and give you something else on the weeks in between. Enough. Okay. Tonight's case is one that I have picked up and put down and kind of kept filed away for a while because it is solved, but I really say that extremely lightly because while I can tell you what happened to Bailey and Emeri, I can't tell you why it happened. I'm gonna back you up a little. I feel like I'm very loud. Okay. This is the case of Bailey Smith and Emeri Connery, sorry, with a Y. Again, we'll talk about all of my theories at the end, but just stick with me. There's a lot of stuff in this case. So, first we're going to start off by talking about Emeri Connery. She was 26 years old in 2019 when this case happened. She was born September 21st, 1992. mission to help people change their lives, accomplish their goals, and to be more confident. Now, I really tried to dig into finding information about Bailey and Emeri, but I just couldn't find out as much about Bailey. He was younger than Emeri, and he was 21 at the time of this case. They were cousins. Their mothers were sisters. And according to his obituary, Bailey graduated from Union High School in Big Stone Gap, Virginia in 2015. I forgot to mention, he was born to his parents, Sean and Kelly, and he had a sister named Jada. I just skipped that little note. Bailey loved hunting, fishing, four-wheeling. He was really kind of like a guy's guy. He worked on cars and motorcycles. And based on what I could see from his social media, he had a really large group of friends and peers and people that just respected him. Now, Bailey and Emeri's mothers were sisters. Her mother is Sherry Blanken, and his mother is Kelly Blanken Smith. When I creeped on the Facebook posts, their families appear to be really close. In recent posts, I saw that Emeri's mom had congratulated Bailey's sister Jada, like on her graduation and stuff. So, that's pretty much all the background I could find on Bailey and Emeri, and you know, I really like for it to be more than that, which is another reason I put this case on hold. But so we're gonna go back to March 9th of 2019. The families attended a wedding in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, and there are photos of this night posted online. Emeri looked stunning in this hot pink dress, and Bailey wore this like plaid shirt. In one photo, even a suicide pact. We will unload all of that, so stick with me. On March 14th, 2019, Tracy Cooper, an administrator from the medical examiner's office in Roanoke, confirmed that both Bailey and Emeri had died from gunshot wounds to the head. Tracy said that following the autopsies, Bailey's cause of death was listed as a suicide, and Emeri's cause of death was a homicide. Virginia State Police spokeswoman Connie Geller also confirmed that Bailey's police service weapon was not the weapon that was used in this murder/suicide, as it appears. People went nuts online following the confirmation that Bailey was Emeri's killer. Everyone was questioning why Emeri's death was basically being played down, and why Bailey was being celebrated so publicly if this were the case. Along with the police procession and the fundraiser for Bailey, as far as I could tell, nothing similar seemed to exist for Emeri. Even Emeri's mother made a Facebook post honoring Bailey. Her post said, "I love you, Bailey boy. Take care of my baby girl. #514. Now, Emeri's celebration of life was held on March 23rd at her former high school, and her family asked that memorials be made to the Connery Flying Eagle Scholarship Fund. In September of 2019, 6 months after Bailey and Emeri passed away, the Lee County Commonwealth Attorney H. Fuller Cridlin released his report on this case. And we finally learned a little bit more about what they think happened the night that the two died. Now, as we knew earlier, Bailey and Emeri attended a wedding together on March 9th. They left the wedding. Okay, maybe they didn't attend together, but they were both there. They left the wedding together at around 8 p.m., and it is believed that Bailey was driving his truck. As they drove to Johnson City, Tennessee, which, according to Google Maps, is around 60 miles and just over an hour away from where the wedding was, they got there at about around 9 p.m. Online rumors say that they were leaving so Emeri could take Bailey out on the town to celebrate his 21st birthday. While they were in Johnson City, Bailey's car got towed after he accidentally parked it in a restricted area. But he did manage to recover the truck from a towing company at some point during the night. We know this because it is the vehicle that they were found in. Bailey and Emeri and their friends went to 2 different bars in Johnson City that night. They consumed alcohol at both venues, and their friends said it was just a normal night, and there was nothing amiss between the 2 cousins. Bailey and Emeri got back into the car and left Johnson City around 1:15 a.m. Do not drink and drive, by the way. Bailey was driving, and Emeri was in the front passenger seat. No one else was in the car. Half an hour after they left, at 1:46 a.m., the final activity from Emeri's phone was recorded. She used her phone to search for the location of a McDonald's restaurant. Her phone was not used after this at all. They got to the McDonald's drive-thru in Gray, Tennessee at 1:54 a.m. There is CCTV footage of the 2 of them in the car, and it shows that they are still the only 2 people in this vehicle. Now, right before they arrive at the McDonald's, Bailey started a conversation on FaceTime with his friend, and this continued as they went through the drive-thru. And this friend did not hit anyone. The bullets were found to have been from Bailey's gun, and there was no evidence of a struggle within the vehicle. The blood spatter analysis showed that the shooting occurred before the crash. Blood on the airbags showed that they deployed after shots were fired. Now, it's interesting to note that witnesses' accounts of what happened are different according than the official versions. Clarence Taylor, who lives yards from the crash near U.S. mile marker 28, said that he heard 5 gunshots in the moments after the accident. The official reports say that the gunshots occurred before the accident. He said, "I woke up at 3 and looked at the clock, and I said I've got about 4 more hours before I have to go to church. It wasn't long after that I heard a thump. I thought it was a rifle at first, but it didn't crack like a rifle." When he was asked if he saw or heard a vehicle or vehicles, Taylor said, "No, I didn't get up and look. Most of the time when I hear a shot around here, I always turn the light on and look at the clock. But I was so tired, I was wore out that day, and I just rolled back over. I wish that I'd looked out that window." Bang, bang, bang. There was a hesitation, and then another bang. A hesitation, and then another. Taylor said he stayed in his house until state police investigators arrived later. "They came over and talked to me, but I told them I didn't hear that truck. But after I got to thinking, that thump I heard that I thought was a rifle was that truck hitting that culvert. After the thump, it wasn't just a minute or 2 before the pistol went off." Blood samples were collected from Bailey and Emeri. The result showed Bailey was drunk. He returned samples of 0.134 and 0.158. The legal limit is 0.08. That means that Bailey's blood alcohol content was almost double the legal limit. Emeri's BAC was under the legal limit. And that is all we know, and likely all we will ever know about the deaths of Bailey Smith and Emeri Connery. The official conclusion from the Lee County Commonwealth Attorney says, "The autopsies, ballistic reports, event data recorder from the vehicle, blood spatter analysis, and physical evidence from the scene collectively continues even to today. Online resources say that a murder-suicide is generally a crime of passion in which the perpetrator commits the act against someone because of a sudden, strong impulse such as rage, rather than just as a premeditated crime. So we have to think, what could have made Bailey so angry that he killed Emeri and then himself? We usually see these murder-suicides between husbands and wives, or boyfriends and girlfriends, or estranged partners, but murder-suicide between cousins, it's pretty rare. Sorry, my computer fan is joining this video. So, some other theories that have been tossed around online include Bailey accidentally killed Emeri while reaching for his gun for some reason. When he realized what he had done, he then proceeded to take his own life. I found a couple screenshots online of like text messages. People really didn't like this theory very much. I mean, let's see, okay. So it says, I heard he made a call before committing suicide. He said it was an accident. She was asleep. He was trying to get the gun out of the holster because it was uncomfortable. And he accidentally hit the safety off. When he went to lay it on the console, that's when it went off. He freaked out and didn't think anyone would believe him, and he didn't know what to do. So I guess that's when he decided he couldn't go through with all the drama. I don't really know. That's just what I heard, it says. The comments down below it are like, are you serious? No one, especially a police officer, accidentally pulls a gun, discharges the safety, whether or not it had one doesn't matter, fires shots, killing this girl, and then kills himself. Of all the possible reasons and motives, this was no accident. Then people go crazy. Alright, they were best friends. They attended a wedding. They went to a club. There was some drinking on the way home. A young guy with a Kari in the small of his back reaches back to get it while driving. Trying to place it on his console, someone's in the passenger seat, asleep with their head against the window. He catches the gun on something and it discharges at the passenger. Passenger is accidentally shot. A young cop, drinking and driving, just shot his cousin and best friend. What would he do? It's tragic, and no one will ever know what truly happened. I thought it was kind of strange that, I don't know if I believe that that's what, I guess I could see that happening, but I don't know if that's what I believe. Now, Bailey was officially classified as intoxicated, so they're saying aloud that Emeri Connery's story is forever tied now to the legacy and history of Big Stone Gap and its people. Maybe she wasn't from here, but she is one of our town, finally and irrevocably. If we believe in anything sacred, we must honor her and speak her name. We must tell the truth about what was done to her in our home. I never met Bailey Smith. Clearly, he was dear in the hearts of many of us. What is he owed in death? As the perpetrator of a terrible crime and as the victim of a terrible crime against his own precious self. To look away from his suffering, to use flags and badges to numb ourselves to reality seems too cruel. To Bailey, to his victim, to families seeking answers, and to a community that must recover from the bomb-like impact of a murder-suicide. About this suffering, too, we must tell the truth. However ugly realities uncovered, they begin to lose their power to destroy us when we confront them together. When we call violence and illness by their right names, we begin to heal as a community. In this way, we honor Bailey more fully than with slogans and propaganda. We say goodbye by recognizing him for who he truly was: broken, suffering, and ultimately loved. So, in terms of Emeri and Bailey, I don't think that we will ever know what happened to them on that fateful night in 2019. And maybe their families don't even really know. A final quote that I found from Emeri's brother Kyle said, "Emeri was my triplet sister. She was the most amazing, beautiful, inspiring woman I'll ever know. Clint and I love you, and we cannot wait to see you again. You will forever be a part of us." So, like I said, I can tell you what happened, but I can't tell you why. I don't really know. Oh look, my video has frozen again. I don't really know what to even say I think happened with this case. I think a plausible explanation to me would be, yes, he was running around with his gun in the back of his jeans, and he went to pull it out, and it went off, and it struck her, but that doesn't really make sense to me as to why there was a gunshot through the driver's seat and then through her, because if it went off while he was pulling it out through the driver's seat, it wouldn't have accidentally went off again and shoot her. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, I don't really know. But I think that this was an incredible tragedy that this family had to go through, losing two of their children right there together. I don't have a plausible explanation, but I wanted to share Bailey and Emeri's case with you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Apparently part of this video is definitely going to be like a picture or something. I honestly don't know what's up with my equipment. I guess I'm gonna have to upgrade or something. I'm getting really frustrated with all of it, and it makes filming not such a joy.